There's a photograph from 9939 that should be hanging in every American kitchen. A woman named Mistress Botner, Oregon farm, standing in her cellar in front of 800 glass jars of food she put up with her own two hands. 800. Enough to feed her whole family clean through a year and have leftover for neighbors who came up short. She didn't have a freezer, didn't have a Costco card, didn't have a smartphone to order delivery. What she had was 3 skills your great-grandmother also knew, and that almost nobody under 60 in this country knows anymore. I'm gonna teach you all 3 today. Simple enough. You can start this week with stuff you already got in your kitchen. By Sunday, you'll have your first jar of something on the shelf that didn't come from a grocery store. And by the end of summer, you could have a pantry that feeds your family through a whole winter. But first, let me tell you what I almost threw out. When my grandmother Ruth died in 1989, everybody fought over the jewelry. 2 of my aunts almost stopped speaking over a brooch worth maybe $40. I walked out of that house with one thing: a little brown notebook with the cover half torn off, every page stained with bacon grease and tomato juice. My aunts thought I was a fool. Honest, my own wife Margaret thought I was sentimental for grabbing garbage. It took me 28 years to understand what I had in my hand, and the day I finally opened it and tried something from page 14, I cried at my kitchen table. I'll tell you what was on that page later in this video. Tell you what made a grown man cry over a bowl of strawberry jam. If you've ever stood in your kitchen looking at tomatoes from your garden, wondering what your grandma would do, you're in the right place today. You're already doing better than 97% of folks just by sitting here right now. Tell me in the comments, did your grandmother or your mama do any of this? Canning, dehydrating, root cellar. Just say yes or no. I'm replying to every single one of y'all tonight. Welcome to Grandpa Earl's Homestead. We bring back the old ways, one lost trick at a time. Let me ask you something. When did you last leave the grocery store feeling good? I'm 67 years old. I've been going to the IGA in town since they opened in 1973. Last week I walked in for some basic stuff. Margaret needed tomatoes for sauce, some chicken, a bag of onions, couple things. I walked out $142 lighter. For groceries that would have been $40 5 years ago. That's not me imagining things. Food prices in rural America went up 7.6% this last year. That's higher than what city folks are paying. Tomatoes alone up almost 40% compared to last spring. Beef up over 12%. Vegetables, 11.5%. And 4 in 10 Americans over 50 just told the AARP that food costs are getting past what they can afford. 4 in 10. That's somebody in every family. It ain't your fault. It ain't my fault. We all got told the same lie at the same time, that the freezer was enough, that the supermarket would always be there, that putting food up at home was something old. People did 'cause they was poor. In 1939, the year Mistress Botner took that photograph in her cellar, somewhere between 30 and 50% of American families did this every fall. By 1980, it was down to 15. Today, less than 3% of American households can add single jar in a year. We forgot, all of us, in 2 or 3 generations. Not 'cause we got dumber, 'cause life got easier and we let the easy way replace the wise way. Now here's what I want you to hear loud and clear. You ain't behind. You're right on time. The folks remembering this in 2026 are gonna be the ones eating well in 2028 when the bill keeps coming due. And that's gonna be you, sitting there at the end of this video. If you stay with me, drop in the comments, what was the most ridiculous price you paid at the grocery store this month? Last time I was there, I saw a single bell pepper for $2.99. $2.99 for one pepper. I about put it back and walked out all right. Method 1, canning. Now I know what some of y'all are thinking. Earl, I ain't doing canning. I'm gonna kill somebody with botulism. Take a breath. Hold on. Let me walk you through this like Vovo walked me through it. There's 2 kinds of canning. Water bath canning. Easy, safe. Anybody can do it. Pressure canning harder. Requires special equipment. Leave that for next year. Today I'm only teaching you water bath. And water bath is the one that does the magic stuff your grandma made. Anyway, jams, jellies, pickles, salsa, tomato sauce, fruit and syrup, that's all water bath. Here's the rule that keeps you safe. Water bath canning only works on high acid foods. Acidic foods. Anything below a pH of 4.6. Tomatoes count if you add a little lemon juice. Pickles count because vinegar makes them acidic. Jam counts because fruit's naturally acidic. The acid kills the bad stuff. Period. What you do not can in a water bath: beans, corn, meat, plain vegetables that ain't pickled. Those are low acid and need pressure canning. Don't try it. Just don't stick to high acid. This first year, and you cannot hurt nobody. Now let me tell you about my first time. I was 58 years old. Margaret bought me a beginner canning kit for my birthday. She'd been doing it a couple years and wanted me to join her. Strawberries was in season. I figured, how hard can it be? Page 14 of Vovo's notebook. Strawberry jam. I didn't read the manual. Thought I was smarter than Vovo. Put the jars right on the bottom of the pot with no trivet. The boiling water cracked 4 of them, a whole quart of strawberries, down the drain. Margaret laughed at me for a week straight, called me the great chef every time I walked in the kitchen. I deserved every bit of it. That's the lesson. There's a rule for each step, and there's a reason for each rule. You follow the USDA guide. They got a free PDF online, and you can't go wrong. Once you do it one time, friend, you'll never stop. It becomes a season of life. Now I gotta pause for a minute, 'cause talking about that strawberry jam and what was written next to the recipe in Vova's hand, it stirs something in me I want to share with you. Before we go on page 14 of her notebook, below the strawberry jam recipe, in her handwriting from probably 1958, she wrote one sentence. Earl loved this with biscuits when he was little. That was it. One line. About a 6-year-old version of me sitting in her kitchen 60 years ago. I sat at my own kitchen table at 58 years old, with my own jar of strawberry jam I just made, the one that didn't crack. And I read that sentence. And I cried. Not soft. Real crying. Margaret found me there and sat down without saying a word and held my hand for I don't know how long. Because here's what I realized that day. That little notebook wasn't just recipes. It was Vovo. Every page was her hand. Every smudge of bacon grease was a meal she cooked for somebody she loved. And if I hadn't grabbed that thing in 1989 when she died, it would have been thrown out with the rest of what my aunts called the trash. I sat there with Margaret and decided we weren't going to let that happen with what's in my head either. We spent the last 2 years putting it all together. Vovo Ruth's notebook, Granddaddy Cal's farm journals, my grandfather Henry's homestead receipts from 1898. Every single trick 3 generations of my family figured out because they had to. 10 ebooks. Over 100 lost methods. Canning recipes Margaret's been perfecting. 12 years. Root cellar plans, animal care, garden tricks, off-grid living, and a whole section on turning your land into income. My neighbor Frank uses this exact roadmap and clears $5,000 a month off 5 acres. Most families who actually use this save around $10,000 a year on food, fuel, repairs, and bills. That ain't a promise. That's what folks been writing me. The link is right there below this video, right under the subscribe button. Grab it before the YouTube algorithm buries this kind of content. It's been getting harder this year. I'm telling you straight. Now stay with me, 'cause method number 2 is what your grandma did without electric and you can too. Method number 2. Drying. Now this one's even older than canning. Folks been drying food for 10,000 years. Egyptians dried fish in the desert. Native Americans dried meat into pemmican. Apple slices hanging on strings in farmhouse kitchens all over Appalachia for 200 years before electricity was even a rumor. The principle is so simple it's almost insulting. Water leaves. Bacteria can't grow. Food keeps for a year. That's the whole science. Get the moisture below 20% and nothing can spoil it. No bacteria, no fungus, no yeast, Nothing. 3 ways to do this. I'll give you all 3. Way 1. Solar. Build a little wooden box with screen wire on top, tilt it toward the sun, lay your sliced apples or tomatoes on it. 2. 3 days in hot summer sun. Your grandmother probably did this every August without thinking twice. Cost you nothing but the box. Way 2. Your oven. Slice fruit thin, lay it on a cookie sheet on parchment paper. Set the oven to its lowest setting, usually 175. Prop the door open just a crack with a wooden spoon. 6 to 12 hours. Done. Way 3. Electric dehydrator. $50 for a basic one at Walmart. Pays for itself in 1 season, easy. You stack the trays, set the timer, walk away. Comes back to dried tomatoes that cost $25 a pound at the grocery store. You made yours for free out of the garden. What to dry? Apples, pears, peaches when they're cheap in August, bananas before they go bad. Slice them, dry them. That's banana chips you grandkids think come from a bag. Herbs from the garden, basil, oregano, thyme, parsley dry on a screen for a week. Crumble in jars. You just replaced $4 spice jars with free pantry stock. And tomatoes. This is the big one. Roma tomatoes sliced and dried turn into the same sun-dried tomatoes the Italian grocery sells for $25 a pound. You can do 20 pounds in 1 weekend. Math that one out. Your Vovo did this without a single button to press. You got buttons and her wisdom. Imagine what y'all could do. Method number 3. The root cellar. This is where the magic happens. And it's so simple it's almost insulting. How we forgot it. You take certain vegetables, potatoes, carrots, beets, cabbage, apples, onions, winter squash, and you put them somewhere that stays between 32 and 50 degrees year-round with the right humidity. That's it. That's the whole trick. They keep 6 to 12 months. No electricity, no nothing. Where do you keep them? A traditional cellar dug under the house. Best option if you got one. A basement corner that stays cool. A spare room with no heat. Even a garbage can buried in the ground. I'm not joking. That's a real method. $25 galvanized garbage can. Dig a hole, line it with straw, fill it with vegetables, cover the lid with more straw and a board. Stays at root cellar temperature, naturally. Folks been doing this for 200 years on small homesteads. Now let me tell you about Cletus's grandma. My oldest friend Cletus. We've been fishing together since 1971. His grandmother was from Pennsylvania. Old Pennsylvania Dutch family. She lived to be 96 years old, died in 2003. Cletus told me she lived through the Great Depression and never went hungry. Not one day. While neighbors was lining up for soup, while folks was eating boiled cabbage and dust, her family ate proper meals every night of that decade. How? She had a cellar under her farmhouse the size of my living room, lined with shelves, hundreds of jars on the shelves and bins of root vegetables in the floor. Cletus said when she passed, there was still food in that cellar that she herself had put up. Food she canned in 1998, still sitting there, safe to eat in 2003. That hit me real deep when Cletus told me that, the idea that a woman could leave behind food as part of her inheritance. Not just memory. Real food, real care, sitting on a shelf waiting to feed the family she loved even after she was gone. There's a lesson in that, friend. We don't have to leave money to our grandkids. We can leave skills they can use forever. Couple things about the root cellar most folks miss. Apples gotta be kept separate, always. Apples give off a gas called ethylene as they ripen. That gas makes other vegetables ripen faster, which means rot faster. Put apples in their own bin or their own box on the other side of the cellar. Margaret made this mistake our first year. Lost a whole bag of carrots in 3 weeks because she stored them next to the apples. Live and learn. Potatoes need dark. Sunlight makes them sprout and turn green. Green spots on a potato got a chemical called solanine, can make you sick if you eat enough, so cover the potatoes, cardboard, burlap, whatever. Just keep them dark. Carrots and beets stay best buried in slightly damp sand or sawdust. Sounds weird, but it works. The moisture keeps them from shriveling. The sand keeps them separate so one rotten one don't take down the rest. Onions and garlic want the opposite. They want dry. Hang them from a rafter in mesh bags or braid the tops together. The cool, dry corner. They'll last all winter. Now, bonus method I gotta mention before we wrap. Method number 4. Fermentation. This is sauerkraut. This is real pickles made with salt water instead of vinegar. This is kimchi. This is buttermilk and yogurt and sourdough. Fermented food don't just keep it, gets healthier as it sits. Live cultures and vitamins generate themselves while you sleep. I ain't gonna do the full fermentation video today. That's its own arc on this channel coming up, but I want you to know it exists. A head of cabbage, 2 tablespoons of salt, a glass jar, and 3 weeks on the counter gives you sauerkraut that doctors are now saying is one of the healthiest foods on earth. 3 ingredients. 3 weeks, free. Now you know what your grandma knew. 4 ways to put food away without the freezer. And if we started one of these this week, you'd be ahead of 97% of households in this country. Most folks die never knowing any of this. You just learned all of it in 12 minutes. Now here's the biggest mistake I see folks make. They wait. They wait till they've watched 20 videos, bought every piece of equipment, found the perfect recipe, set up the perfect kitchen. They wait till everything's perfect. And you know what? Perfect never comes. They never start. Don't be that person. Here's a 30-day plan so simple a 6th grader could follow it. Week 1. Read the USDA Complete Guide to Home Canning. It's free online. Just Google it. 80 pages, plain English written so anybody can understand it. While you're reading, go to Walmart or Tractor Supply and buy your starter kit. Water bath canner. That's just a tall pot with a rack inside. $30 to $50. A dozen mason jars with new lids. A jar lifter. A funnel. The whole kit costs you less than $100 and it lasts forever. My canner is from 1979. Still works perfect. Week 2. Make strawberry jam.
It's thickening up nicely.
1 batch
Just
of strawberry
a little more
jam.
stirring.
8 little jars. Strawberries are the most forgiving fruit to learn on. High acid, sweet. Hard to mess up if you follow the recipe. The USDA guide has the exact instructions. Use them. Week 3. Bread and butter pickles. Classic grandma recipe. Cucumbers from your garden or the farmer's market in June. Vinegar, sugar, mustard seed, turmeric. 6 jars. 3 hours of work. Pickles that taste like 1962. Week 4. Hang herbs from your garden to dry bunches of basil, oregano. Tie 'em upside down on a string in a dry corner. 2 weeks later, you crumble them into jars and dig a hole for that garbage can root cellar. Start with 5 pounds of potatoes from the farmer's market and see if they last till Christmas. They will. 1 month. That's all it takes. By month 2, you ain't a beginner no more. You're somebody who knows how to preserve food. You're somebody your grandkids will tell stories about someday. Tell me in the comments, which one of the 4 methods are you going to try first? Canning, drying, root cellar, fermenting. Drop the word below. Let me tell you what canning gave Margaret and me, 'cause this is the part nobody talks about. 12 years ago, Margaret read an article about food prices going up. She said, "Earl, I'm gonna learn how to can. My mama did it. I should know it." I said, "Sure, honey, whatever you want." She bought a kit, made jam, made pickles, did it alone for 2 years. I'd come in from the barn, see her in the kitchen, and just keep walking. Wasn't my thing. I had real farm work to do, I thought. Then one Saturday in August of 2014, I was out of things to do. Tomatoes was coming in heavy from the garden. Margaret was up to her elbows in them. I sat down at the kitchen table to watch. 3 hours later, my hands were stained red from peeling tomatoes. I had a smear of tomato seed across my cheek. Margaret was laughing at me because I kept dropping the lemon juice measurer. The old radio in the corner was playing Hank Williams, and we both knew every word. And I realized something. I hadn't been that happy in years. Margaret and me, we'd been married since 1979. We raised 2 kids. We buried 3 parents. We'd been through layoffs and cancer scares And one bad year I don't talk about, but that Saturday in 2014, peeling tomatoes with my wife while Hank sang on the radio. That was one of the best afternoons of my whole life. We've been doing canning weekends every August and September since. Every year, 12 years now. Margaret turned 65 this fall. I turned 68. And our canning weekends are still my favorite time of the year. Tomato sauce simmering, mason jars clinking. Margaret telling me the same joke about the time I broke 4 jars in 99958, except she don't realize. She's told me that joke 100 times, and I laugh every time like I never heard it before. That's what's on the other side of this. Not just food, not just savings. Time with someone you love, doing something that matters, making something your grandkids will eat. It's a more in a jar. That's all canning ever was. Page 14 of Vova's notebook, the strawberry jam page. That's the recipe I made that day at 58 years old that broke me down at my own kitchen table. Margaret still keeps that jar in our pantry. We never opened it. It's the first jar I ever made that didn't crack. 12 years old now. Probably ain't even good no more, but we keep it. Some things you don't eat, some things you just keep. If you're sitting there right now thinking about your own grandmother, or your mama, or somebody who used to cook for you when you were little, and you're feeling something in your chest right now that ain't an accident, that's the part of you that remembers. The part of you that knows we lost something real. It ain't gone. It's just waiting for you to pick it back up. 1 jar of strawberry jam. That's how you start. That's all it takes. Hit subscribe if any of this stirred something in you. Share this with somebody whose grandma used to do this stuff. Especially share it with somebody who lost their grandma without ever learning from her. The wound under that loss is something canning can almost heal. Almost. And the bundled Volver Ruth's notebook, Granddaddy Cal's journals, everything we put together so it don't die with me, is right there in the description. Don't let these old ways die. Friend, pick one up, pass it on. The next video opens a door I've been wanting to open for a year. Vavo Ruth had a recipe in her notebook, page 62, that she never let me eat as a kid. She said I was too young, said I had to be a grown man before I could try it. I finally made it last winter. At 67 years old, I tried something my grandmother made me wait 50 years to taste. And what I found out about what was in it, and why she hid it from a child, is something nobody's gonna believe. Tell me in the comments before you go. What's the food your grandmother made that you'd give anything to taste one more time? Mine was her strawberry jam on biscuits. What's yours? Drop it below. I'm reading every single one of y'all tonight. Every one. Save what you grow. Hug your family. Page 62.